Earlier on, guys, we spoke about histamine. We said that histamine is needed for several body processes like what allergic reaction and inflammation. They will say that actions of this histamine can actually get out of hand. So you need things that can actually what compete to actually stop the actions of histamine in the body. I would say that some substances can actually compete with histamine at the receptor level. So they are actually trying to like bind to the receptors of histamine so that histamine is not having receptors to bind and elicit. We said that these receptors of histamine H1, H2, H3, H4, they will say that substances that can actually act on H1 receptors, they are into the first generation and second generation. The first generation, we already made a video on them. We said that they were formed between 1942. Their advantage is that they cross the CNS readily. Now we'll be talking about the second generation now. We said that the second generation, they are formed, I think it's 1980. There was one that were produced in 1980. And one advantage that they have on the first generation is the second generation, they won't cause you to sleep much, right? While the first generation will cause you to sleep silly. Do you understand? So this is the H1 receptor antagonist. Once they bind to the histamine receptors, the histamine will not have receptors to bind and act. So it will stop the action of histamine. So the second generation H1 receptors antagonists now, they were developed in the 1980s. Now, this antihistamine, they cause less sleepiness and they interact with fewer medications. The first generation now, they do the opposite. They cause a lot of sleepiness when you take them and they interact with a whole lot of medications too. Now, they are also able to reduce inflammation caused by allergies, and they are favored for their effectiveness and fewer side effects. Okay, and they act for a longer duration of time. They act for like 12 to 24 hours, while the first generation H1 receptor antagonists act for just like 4 to 6 hours, right? So now examples of these H1 second generation antagonists, we have what? Cetirizine, we have what? Levocetirizine, okay? We have the desloratadine, we have the word loratadine, then we have the word fexofenadine, fexofenadine. So I have your pictures here, right? This is cetirizine, this is what? Desloratadine, this is what? Levocetirizine, okay? Then this is what? The fexofenadine, and this is what? Should be the last one. It should be loratadine, all right? Loratadine, all right? Yeah, loratadine, macronized loratadine, okay? So this is how basically these drugs are. These ones are termed the second generation H1 receptor antagonist, right? They're developed in what? 1980s, okay? You guys are 8 and bye for now.